Professor Zyxthala adjusted her bioluminescent teaching display, watching as her xenobiology students settled into their hoverpods. The Galactic Academy's most diverse classroom housed representatives from 47 different species, their chittering, humming, and electromagnetic frequencies creating a symphony of interstellar academia, all except for the human in the back row, who sat unervingly still. Today, Professor Zyxthala announced, her crystalline voice resonating through the translation matrix, "We shall conduct a practical examination of stress responses across species. Each of you will face a simulated predator encounter calibrated to your homeworld's apex hunters." The vegan delegates, peaceful herbivores from the garden world of Kepler 442b, trembled at the mere mention of predators. The Altarian hive minds buzzed nervously, their collective consciousness rippling with anxiety. Even the battle-hardened cephalopods from the high-gravity world of Wolf 359c shifted uncomfortably in their pressure suits. Only Sarah Chan remained motionless, her dark eyes fixed on the professor with an intensity that made several nearby students unconsciously lean away. "We begin with Specimen 1, the professor continued, activating the holographic chamber. A massive, tentacled creature materialized, a perfect recreation of a vegan death crawler. The targeted student, a delicate flower-like being named Petal, immediately collapsed, her bioluminescent petals closing in terror. Her vital signs spiked dangerously as her fight-or-flight response triggered total shutdown. "Fascinating," Professor Zyxthala murmured, recording the data. "Complete systemic paralysis within 0.3 seconds. Next specimen." One by one, each student faced their homeworld's nightmare. The Altarians scattered into separate entities when confronted with a mind-ripper wasp. The cephalopod's color-changing camouflage went haywire against a pressure beast. The water-breathing Aquarians nearly drowned in their own terror-induced mucus secretions. Then came Sarah's turn. The holographic chamber flickered, scanning her genetic markers and planetary origin data. What materialized made every student in the classroom recoil in horror. A perfect Terran grizzly bear, 8 feet tall, weighing 800 pounds, with claws designed to tear through flesh and bone. Sarah stood up slowly, her movements fluid and controlled. She stepped into the chamber without hesitation. The bear roared, a sound that registered 130 decibels and made the vegans faint outright. Sarah didn't flinch. Instead, she did something that violated every known law of predator-prey dynamics. She stared directly into the apex predator's eyes and stepped forward. "Impossible," Professor Zyxthala whispered, her bioluminescent patches flickering in disbelief. Sarah raised her arms above her head, making herself appear larger. She opened her mouth and released a sound that wasn't quite a roar, wasn't quite a scream, but something primal that seemed to emerge from the deepest wells of evolutionary memory. The holographic bear, programmed with the instincts of a real apex predator, actually took a step backward. Then Sarah did something even more incomprehensible. She picked up a fallen branch from the holographic forest floor and began advancing on the bear, her eyes never breaking contact. The bear, confused by prey that refused to be prey, that instead behaved like a competitor, began to retreat. "End simulation," Professor Zyxthala commanded, her voice cracking. The hologram dissolved, leaving Sarah standing alone in the chamber, breathing steadily, her heart rate barely elevated above baseline. She walked back to her seat as if nothing had happened. The classroom erupted in chaos. Students were fainting, fleeing, and in the case of the Altarians, fragmenting into their base components. Emergency medical teams rushed in to treat shock victims. Professor Zyxthala stared at her readings in disbelief. While every other species had shown massive spikes in stress hormones, neural overload, and systemic shutdown, Sarah's biometrics indicated something unprecedented. Controlled aggression, tactical thinking, and adaptive problem-solving under extreme duress. "Class dismissed," the professor announced weakly. As students filed out in various states of trauma, Professor Zyxthala approached Sarah, who was calmly packing her data pad. "How?" was all the professor managed to ask. Sarah looked up with those unsettling eyes that had stared down death and found it wanting. "Professor," she said quietly, "on Earth, we don't run from apex predators. We became them." The professor's bioluminescent patches dimmed to their lowest setting, the crystalline equivalent of turning pale. In that moment, she realized the truth that would reshape xenobiology forever. Some worlds don't create prey. Some worlds create something far more dangerous. They create survivors.